Welcome to week 8 of GID216, motion graphics for interactive media. All right, let's see what's going on this week in week 8. We'll go over to modules and projects, go over to our week 8 module. Okay, so the overview this week is a couple of things. So first of all, this is an After Effects week, so we're going to be practicing some new skills in After Effects, specifically masks, shape layers, and text. So the tutorial videos are right here. You can see here that we have how to mask in After Effects, After Effects Shape Layers Part 1 and 2, how to create text in After Effects, and some text animation. Now, a couple things quick just for comparison. If you have made masks in Photoshop before using layer masks, this will be somewhat familiar to you. In After Effects, it's not that drastically different, so this should be familiar to you. Also, the text in After Effects, the actual creating of typography, creating of text assets in After Effects is very similar to creating typography and text assets in Photoshop and Illustrator, so that is fairly similar. However, of course, adding animation to text is obviously a new wrinkle that you're probably not familiar with, and so that is covered here in this final tutorial. So this is a little bit of a mishmash of things, but they are sort of related and they move along nicely. Again, this is one long tutorial, so be sure to start here at the first link and practice with these various areas that they are covering in the videos, and then be sure to stop here at 2:21:22, and then that's what's to be covered for this week. So set aside enough time to practice and play with these so that you become familiar with these skills. Now, the other thing this week is that we are going to be introducing our new project, which is Project 3, our title sequence project. Step 1 is you're going to be working on for homework this week. But before we get to that, a reminder that the final version of Project 2, creating a lyric video, is due at the end of this week. By now you've gotten feedback on your draft. And so you can go ahead and take that feedback, make some adjustments, make some updates, improve upon it, and the final is due at the end of this week. So make sure that you are spending enough time this week to really finalize that project and do your best on it, okay? Obviously, the timing of the appearance of the type on the screen as it is sung in the song is really key to getting a lyric video down. And this project is really designed to be sort of an exercise in timing of having actors and elements appear on the stage and disappear off of the stage at exactly the time you want them to appear and disappear. So that is really your main goal. Then, of course, any other design elements that you work into the assignment, really engaging and interesting and appropriate imagery that works well with the song, that's a plus. Interesting and clear typography, not just having the type appear on the screen, but making some typographic treatments that make sense for the song, that is also a plus. And all of those things will get you points on the assignment. But of course, remember, the main goal is the timing of the type appearing and disappearing off the screen to coincide with the song. So that's really the main point. So hopefully you've been working on that. I'm sure it will come out wonderful. Then once you get that settled and you turn it in, like I said, go through and work on these tutorials this week so that you can become familiar with masks, shape layers, and working with typography in After Effects beyond just having text appear and disappear off of the screen, which we're doing for Project 2. This will be a little more advanced typography, so it'll work out nicely. Okay, so next, let's take a look at our next project. Now, this next project is going to continue from now, week 8, all the way through the end of the semester. So this is sort of a half semester long project. It has multiple deliverables. Some of them are obviously the culmination of the project is to be done in After Effects, because that is the main thing we're doing in this class, is learning about some basics of motion graphics and dealing with learning After Effects. But there is some research as well involved in this project, so let's take a look at it. So it is, of course, Project 3, and you can find it back here in Modules and Projects. Go down to Projects, and of course right here is Project 3, title sequence project and presentation. And so it's broken down into multiple steps. You can see we have Step 1, Step 2, and Step 3, and Step 4. So it's a 4-step process. Each has different due dates, so you can click on the titles and check out the due dates so you can plan ahead. Each step is detailed here in this folder, so we're going to go over each one. And of course, you can download the handout, which is the entire project in a single PDF, by just clicking right here on the Project 3 title sequence PDF. If you like to have it all in one place, that's an easy way to go about it too. So I'm going to actually look at the PDF now. So this is the PDF. Okay, so the theme for this assignment is genre, deconstruction, and reconstruction. We are going to be dealing with genres as they apply to film. Now, of course, the idea of genres and subgenres and themes, those, of course, are applicable to everything from literature to, art to design to television to film, etc., etc. We are really looking at it specifically here for film and television, but naturally, these are concepts that apply to a variety of different areas. So the first part here is a quick overview about what genre, subgenres, and themes are. This is a really broad overview of each one. You can do further research on each concept if you would like, but I just really need you to sort of understand it from this point of view, right? So of course, genre is used to distinguish the type of content by a kind or a category or a subject matter. So of course, in film and even television, some popular genres include action, adventure, crime, drama, comedy, horror, science fiction, and so on and so forth. Some things in television that are sort of specific to television, even though certain genres are shared between film and television, there are some genres in television that are unique to television, such as soap operas, news shows, talk shows, and reality television. You don't see a lot of sort of soap opera-based movies, right? Although I guess melodramas would fall into that category, I suppose. Now, in other things like visual art and design, a genre could describe the subject matter, such as graphic design, painting, sculpture, or photography, kind of a broad category that you could work under. Now, subgenres, of course, they sort of further refine or fine-tune the genre, right? It gives it a little more focus, a little more nuance. And so examples of subgenres in film and television and even comic books could be action, adventure, comedy, right? You could have and this is where the slash comes in, right? Action, adventure, comedy, right? You could have romantic adventures, a buddy comedy, right? A buddy film, film noir, and of course many, many more. You can mash together different genres to create different subgenres. It could primarily be a comedy, but could also be a science fiction. So in which case it would be a comedic science fiction, and that's sort of the genre subgenre, right? Now in the world of graphic design, you could have subgenres of, say, poster design, which is a more specific form of graphic design, book cover design, packaging design, identity and logo type, web design, and typographic design. All of those are more focused versions of graphic design, and so therefore could be considered a subgenre of graphic design. In the world of painting, you could be talking about still life or landscape painting, right? It's all still painting, but it has a specific area of focus. And then, of course, we could also be talking about various historical art movements as a subgenre, whether it be Impressionism or Post-Impressionism, Cubism, Dadaism, Abstract Expressionism, Italian Futurism, whatever. There's so many different ones. So all of those are ways of sort of fine-tuning or focusing the larger genre of whatever you're working on. Now, to be fair, in the world of art and design, we often tend to categorize those things we just talked about more as mediums or means of delivery, but they do neatly fit into genre and subgenre as well. Now, themes are a little different. Themes will then take your genre and subgenre and narrow it down even further. But themes aren't really sort of categories. They're more conversational, right? They're more of a discussion between the audience and the creator of the content, right? The theme is more about sort of helping the audience understand what the point of the story is, not so much what category the story is in. So, for example, in film and television, common themes could include things like redemption, resurrection, the story of the prodigal son, transformation, vengeance, innocence, justice, and sacrifice. Now, of course, there's many, many more. And if you read further into it and do some research, you can probably find a whole ton of really good academic discussions about the use of theme in film, in literature, in television, and so on and so forth. So this is just a really brief overview of genre, subgenre, and theme, and I just need you to sort of understand these a little bit because we are going to be taking a pre-existing property, a film or television show, that already has a genre and or subgenre attached to it, and we are going to reimagine it as something new under a new genre or subgenre. So let's move down here to how you're going to start the project, okay? So, of course, the theme of this project is classic movies and television reimagined. Now, of course, remakes you're probably very familiar with. They are nothing new in the world of Hollywood. There are dozens of remakes, reimaginings, sequels, prequels, you name it, dating as far back as the 1930s. From almost the early days of film and television, Hollywood was already trying to remake some of them. Let's do a new version. Let's do an updated version. Let's do a better version. Currently, there are over 121 movie remakes or reboots in the works. You can probably think of some of them. And in fact, this is something that gets criticized fairly often in sort of common conversation. Like, why don't they come up with some new concepts? Why are they remaking things? Well, part of it's nostalgia. People like to get new versions of things that they loved previously. And part of it is to try to put a more modern take on an older classic, as it were. And yeah, maybe there is a certain amount of laziness involved in it in Hollywood. I don't know. I'm not going to be judgy about it. But either way, sometimes you get some great remakes and sometimes some not so great remakes. But anyway, we are going to make a remake for this assignment. Now, of course, we're not actually remaking the entire film or the entire TV show. We don't have time for that. But we are instead going to reimagine it in the form of a written plot summary. We're going to sort of rewrite the plot summary for one of these classic television shows or movies, and you're going to make it your own with a brand new genre or subgenre. And that reimagining, that newly written plot summary, is going to provide the foundation for the motion graphics assignment that you're going to complete at the end of this project, which is to make a title sequence for your newly imagined television show or movie. Okay, so that's the basic premise. But first, you got to pick your TV show or your movie. So you're going to choose one of these classic movies or television shows from this list, and you're going to reimagine it as a completely different genre or subgenre. Now, it's important to understand it needs to be completely different. So it wouldn't make a lot of sense to take a police procedural and turn it into an action adventure. That's kind of too similar. So you want to try to pick a different genre and or subgenre that's going to really twist it on its head, that's going to really turn it around and come up with something different, either for dramatic effect or for comedy effect, maybe, or whatever. You get to decide that. So, for example, you could take a romantic comedy and turn it into a horror movie, for example. That would be a huge change. Now, how are you going to do this? Well, you're going to use the original synopsis as your guide, and then you're going to write a one-page plot summary. Now, we'll talk a little bit in a minute about the difference between a synopsis and a plot summary. They're a little different. And so you're going to write a one-page plot summary for your newly imagined movie or TV show. To better understand these, find and watch the movie or a couple episodes of the TV show. You can certainly read the synopsis, which I have linked over here, and I obviously want you to read the synopsis. But if you can actually watch these, if you can find them on YouTube or on some streaming service, I would absolutely suggest going to watch them first. That would give you a much better understanding of them before you start to reimagine them. Now, of course, you might be familiar with some of these already. They're classics, but they're not necessarily that old. Now, as far as rules and regulations go here, the original title, character names, and basic premise of the TV show or movie should stay the same. So you can't change those. So when you're making your title sequence, the title of the TV show or the movie has to be the same. The main characters' names have to be the same. And when you're writing your new plot summary, you should stick to roughly the same premise. But other than that, it's completely fair game. You can change anything else you want about it and really have some fun with it. So this first step, this step one to this assignment, is really kind of a creative writing assignment. But this is meant to sort of not only sort of unlock your imagination, but really give you a good foundation for making that title sequence that we're going to make later on. Because this isn't just about making an interesting combination of image and type, which, is a title sequence, but we have to make sure that it's thematically and visually appropriate for the story that you're trying to tell. So before you can do that, you need to know what the story is. Okay, so here are your choices. Under television, you've got these 4 choices. The Fugitive, which ran from 1963 to 1967, which is originally an action-adventure show. Adam 12 ran from 68 to 75, which was a police procedural, not unlike Law & Order, for example. Bewitched, which ran from 1964 to 1972, which was a fantasy comedy TV show. MASH, which stands for Mobile Army Surgical Hospital, ran from 1972 to 1983, which was a comedy drama historical fiction. It was really an interesting mashup of genre and subgenre. Then the movies you could choose from include these 4. Close Encounters of the Third Kind came out in 1977, science fiction movie. Gloria came out in 1980. It is a crime drama. When Harry Met Sally came out in 1989, which is a romantic comedy, and The Birdcage came out in 1996, which is just a straight-up comedy. Now, these links to the right here will link you to the original synopsis for each one, so you definitely should go read those. But again, if you can find these online on streaming somewhere and watch them, I would suggest you watch them also. Now, of course, you don't have to watch all of them. Just sort of pick the ones that you find interesting and go from there and make a decision. Now, you might be familiar with these and maybe you'll lean in one direction or another, or maybe you've never heard of any of these and you have to go do a little bit of research. But either way, you have to choose one. Once you've chosen it and you've read the synopsis and hopefully you've gotten to watch it a little bit, then go ahead and you're going to write a 1-page plot summary for this newly imagined show. You know, you have to come up with a new genre or subgenre to turn it into and really kind of brainstorm a new version of it. So take some time to be creative, right? Get into your creative space and really kind of go wild with it. Now, if you want to help each other out with this, if you guys in class want to help each other brainstorm ideas for your newly imagined story, that's fine. I have no problem with you guys teaming up to help each other out. Just make sure that everybody writes their own plot summary on their own, okay? So your deliverable has to be independent, but the brainstorming and the research you guys can do together if you would like. It's fine with me. If it makes your life easier, go for it. Now, if you're not sure what genre or subgenre to turn these into, there is 2 links here. This is a comprehensive list of all genres for TV and film, and this is a comprehensive list of all subgenres for TV and film. So get creative, really take a look at it. Now, of course, before you actually do the writing for the 1-page plot summary, be sure to check out the class writing guidelines, which are listed on our learning management system on Blackboard, so that you're setting up your paper the way that I would like you to for class, okay? These here, of course, are shots from the various shows. This is from The Fugitive, the original, of course. This is from Bewitched. This is from Close Encounters of the Third Kind. And this is from When Harry Met Sally. Okay, now there are, of course, other deliverables for this assignment. I'm not going to go through this whole thing right now, but you can read ahead. But the homework for this week is to just work on step 1, which is quite a bit of research, brainstorming, and writing. So make sure you take time to do that this week while you're practicing with your new After Effects features, okay? And then you can read through the rest of this assignment on your own, but we will certainly be covering each of the remaining steps, step 2, 3, and 4, in upcoming weeks, okay? All right, so that's it for this week. Get working on that stuff, and I really look forward to seeing and reading your new plot summary for your newly imagined movie or TV show. If you need anything, you know where to find me. Email, office hours on Zoom, Mondays and Fridays. All right, you guys have a good week, and I will see you soon.